So look, he's mentioned rather Triple G, a title fight, Conor Benn, Kell Brook. What do you think?
Um, Golovkin still holds a version of world title, does he not?
I think
At
he
this point,
does.
he does, doesn't he? So that would be a great legacy fight. Obviously, it is an older Golovkin, but okay. At times, I thought Chris Eubank Jr. calling out Golovkin was borderline laughable with the level that Golovkin has shown and displayed, and maybe the level that Chris Eubank, in my eyes, was capped at before. But I feel like right now, the version of Eubank Jr. we seem to have, and the version of Golovkin, just the slower, the older, maybe a little bit faded fighter. Who knows how that fight goes? So that could be a great, great event. People have seen Golovkin in Britain numerous times, in America, around the world. Chris Eubank has got a profile as big as ever right now. Um, there's that fight definitely an option. Obviously, the sort of elephant in the room, I guess to say, is the Conor Benn fight. And I mean, after a lot of frustration and still ongoing frustration with these topics, and that as a fighter, I have to jump through certain hoops that it seems other fighters don't seem to have problem with, etc. I feel like British boxing right now could really do with a full up Wembley arena, with a fight, especially that's not a heavyweight fight. Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. I think is bigger than ever. I think Conor Benn spent more time out of a boxing ring for whatever's happened than certain superstars in corners of the world. As long as you're friends with certain governing bodies and you can be a clean ambassador program, etc. I feel like there's been fighters that have failed for similar, worse, whatever, and fought within 4 or 5 weeks and then become a clean ambassador. So he's been out the ring for a while now. If there's nothing really tying him down, it's not about support for him. It's about support for boxing.
I've just double checked this. Gennady Golovkin's number one challenger for the WBC and WBO titles at the moment. I'll just run through Jamal Charlo, WBC. WBA is Arislandi Lara. IBF is Vincenzo Gualtieri. And the WBO, you'll know this name, Yanibek Alim Kanuli. Liam Smith, by the way, was ranked 2 with the WBO before this and 3 with the WBC. I still think, you just mentioned Wembley Arena there. I think you meant Wembley
Stadium.
Stadium,
Of
didn't you?
course I
Yes.
did. It's good.
So,
Wembley Arena is where I box, Gareth. You know what I mean? That's the one I box in, that's why. Not the
listen, you're going
stadium.
to be the first person, one of the lighter fighters, to sell out
What?
massive
Under
stadiums.
5 foot.
Lighter, I said, not smaller or shorter. I said lighter. Listen, you walk around and talk like you're 6'9" anyway,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
it.
respect you for that. And you're one of the most amazing characters in boxing. You never change, brother. Never change.
I try
Um,
not to.
no, you must never change. You're a breath of fresh air. You really are. You're a breath of beautiful air, is what you are.
I
Um,
appreciate
the
it.
the thing is, what I think sometimes when, as you just said, when someone shifts the paradigm in one fight, when you can look at them in a different way. I've even put this out there in a column I wrote on Sunday. Even Canelo might have a look at Eubank after that fight and think, this could be the guy I fight in England at Wembley Stadium. No?
100%. And I feel like he kind of has chucked himself in the mix to a certain degree. Okay, what level do that side of the world see Liam Smith? Is it a much bigger fight for the UK than it is America? Probably, definitely. But the way his performance, he's got a famous last name. The Conor Benn story, where that kind of exploded all around the world. It didn't matter what corner of boxing you was from, you knew about that. So maybe, definitely, his stock's never been higher. He's got some good wins. He's got, some titles to his name and some reputation, and been involved in some big events. At all stages. I mean, think Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank was a massive British fight at that time, all that way back. And he's been regularly, being out there, being involved in big fights, putting himself out there, taking the hard fights. So, and now he's got, a great win with a sort of even better dramatic storyline around it, sort of over flipping it. It sort of does more, it explodes more. It's more sensationalized. He's the
I,
fighter that just come back.
I'm convinced he had a terrible weight cut and he was pointless. And I hope you'll tell other boxers this, and I hope you agree. If you don't need to do a weight cut at the age of 32, do not do one and drain your body. Remember what his father, Chris Eubank Sr., whose career I covered in parts, Don't do it because it takes it out of every cell. You're a wise man. You draw on the universe a lot. You're like your brother Charlie as well. You try and embrace the universe, the breath of in and out, don't you? That there are kind of universal wisdoms. Let me ask you this, right? Conor Benn put out a tweet or an Instagram post almost immediately after the fight saying, I'll fight you at 160, Chris Eubank Jr., and I'll destroy you in 4 rounds. Be honest with me. Is that a very tough fight for Conor Benn against that Chris Eubank?
I mean, I thought the old Chris Eubank would have beat Conor Benn. I'll be perfectly real. I feel like that's another reason why it kind of sits a little bit easier with me with the whole speculation of the situation. That if you make the massive event, that would be quite great for British boxing right now. And Chris Eubank would be the heavy favorite before, bigger man, probably done and existed at a high level in boxing previously in his career as well, won at a higher level as well, at a higher weight. And for me, the eye test, he passes a lot stronger than Conor, I think. He's dangerous coming forward, but I feel like Chris Eubank and having a fight is kind of second nature to a certain degree. I think it's in their blood. It's in both of their blood. I just feel like Chris Eubank Jr. does it a lot better than Conor Benn.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's a
real.
welterweight coming up to fight a middleweight. And look, let me ask you another one here while I'm on, because this is one we debated for ages. I'd love to get your opinion on this while we're on it. Terence Crawford, a welterweight, coming up to fight Canelo when he was middleweight. And it's a bit like Sugar Ray Leonard coming up to face Marvin Hagler in '87, yeah, at Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas. Obviously, we know what happened. Sugar Ray outboxed Marvin Hagler. Just people were split on it. Hagler walked off into the sunset to make spaghetti westerns in Italy and never fight again. How would you have seen Crawford against Canelo? Crawford coming up from middleweight to fight Canelo from welterweight to fight Canelo at middleweight. How do you see that, Sonny? I'm fascinated to see your view.
Well, they're both genuinely great fighters, greats of their era. Genuinely, I feel like they're both probably Hall of Fame first rounders. I feel like they've both had tremendous success. I feel like Canelo started, at the 147s and at lighter
He
weights
did.
and then slowly built up through. So the actual physical frame and structure of a man who just existed heavier, just because he's boxed at light heavyweight, doesn't make him a bigger man, for example, than Charlo. When you see him on the scales, Charlo looks the bigger man. So
He does. He
and
does.
Crawford doesn't look a million miles away from the stature overall of Canelo, probably just a lot more
Yeah.
slimline than when he's out of camp. What weight does he go up to? I'm sure he puts on a fair few pounds and goes up and still exists and still trains and still spars at a much heavier weight before how he brings his weight down. So if
And
he
he's
just
older
sort of
than
stop,
Canelo, which is hard to believe.
yeah, I know, but he still seems every bit as fresh, and maybe
He does.
that's testament to his preparation, his dedication, how he stays ready to go most of the year. He's lived a kind of really outside boxing scandal free career for the most part of what I've seen and been exposed to. So um, yeah, he's just been a professional athlete. Even before he was a professional, he was, a very high, Olympic standard wrestler. That's discipline, that's dedication, that's years spent understanding how two bodies come together and how you can
Yeah.
manipulate an arm. And he's taken every bit of that knowledge straight into a boxing ring with him. He is a monster on the clinch on the inside. He wins fights completely just by every time it comes together. They can't do anything with him.